Yes, very good morning. Yeah, we'll continue now. See, one part of this problem we have finished in the last class. Okay. So the question was to calculate the molarity and mole fraction. We have completed with molality. Now next is to calculate molarity. Okay, so we have to work out this one now. To calculate molarity, you know the formula, no? Molarity is number of moles of solute by volume of solution in liter. Okay, so you need to calculate number of moles of the solute. So out of this 20% mass by mass of aqueous solution of potassium iodide, you know 20% means what? 20 gram of the solute is dissolved in 80 gram of the solvent. So 20 gram is the solute part and 80 gram is the solvent part. Together they make out of the 100 gram. Okay, so 100 gram of solution we are having here. So this is 100 gram. Now to calculate number of moles, you all know how to calculate that. Number of moles is mass divided by molar mass. So mass of the solute, that is potassium iodide here, will be how much? Yes, everyone tell me now. Number of moles if you have to calculate, or I write it here itself. Molarity can also be written as mass of the solute divided by molar mass and whole divided by volume of the solution in liter. Okay, so you can calculate this mass by molar mass. Mass is 20 gram. Okay, here mass is 20 gram. You can get from this side, this will be 20. Okay, so this part will be 20 and molar mass, I had given you potassium and iodide's molar mass. Okay, potassium is 39 and iodine is 127. Yeah, so it is 166, correct? So your molar mass will be, I'm just roughly writing it, okay? Later we will substitute everything. So we got mass, we got molar mass. Next, what is remaining? Volume of the solution in liter is required, okay? So you don't find any volume which they have given to you. But what is given to you here? Density is given. See, density is given to you, and how much is the density part? Okay, I'm writing on this side. So you can see here density given to you is 1.202 gram per ml. And mass of the solution is how much? Okay, I'm talking in terms of solution because volume of solution is required. Yeah, very good. Correct. See, now here density is given to you. Density of the solution. I'm repeating again. Given to you is density of the solution. That is 1.202 gram per ml. And you need to calculate the volume. And you have a relationship, correct? No, density, mass and volume relationship is there. So, you know density is mass by volume. Okay, so if you know density of the solution, if you know mass of the solution, you can calculate volume of the solution. Okay, so here density 1.202, mass of the solution, just now I told you here 20 gram of the solute and 80 gram is a solvent. So together mass of the solution will be 100 gram. Okay, so here this mass part is there, no, that will be 100. So this mass part is 100 and density here it is. Okay, you can calculate the volume. So I'll be doing it on this side. Okay, so very good, correct. So volume of the solution will be equal to mass by density, correct? Mass by density. So mass here is 100 divided by density is 1.202. Okay, so this you have to divide now. So when you divide 100 by 1.202, approximately you see how much you are getting. You will get around 83. Okay, so when I'm dividing here, yeah, 83.19. Yes, very good, correct. 83.19 ml you are getting. It's in ml because density is given in ml. Okay. Yeah, now we need to convert this in liter, no? So if you want to convert that into liter, then you have to divide by 1000. Okay, so I will do it there itself. Now we will do direct substitution. Here itself I will do the substitution. Okay, so yeah, we need to divide by 1000. All that you know. Okay, so I will not show you that division. Directly we will substitute now. So here is equal to mass is 20 divided by molar mass is 166 divided by volume of solution in liter. That is 83.19 divided by 1000. Okay, so this will give you the molarity. I believe everyone is able to understand now how to work out this problem. It's an indirect kind of question asked here to calculate molarity, where they had not given you volume of the solution. Okay, you had to find volume using the density, because given to you is density, and then they have told you 20% mass by mass of aqueous solution is there. So 20% means you have 20 gram of solute and 80 gram of the solvent. Together if you add them up, you will get the mass of the solution, that is 100 gram. Okay, because it is percentage, you know, altogether it will make up to be 100. So you will get 100 gram of the solution. Now substitute density and mass and volume relationship. We know density is equal to mass by volume. So we got mass, we know the density, you can calculate the volume. Okay, so we did the calculation of volume. We got around 83.19 ml. Okay, now this ml has to be converted into liter. You know 1 liter is 1000 ml. So 83.19 ml will be how much? Divide by 1000. Okay, so we have done here divided by 1000. And then final answer. Yes, how much is it? 1.44. Yes, correct. Very good. 1.44 molar, okay, capital M, or I can write even mole per liter. Okay. Yes. Yeah, very good. Okay, now make a note of this. Okay, this is the final answer. Yes, see, calculating the mole fraction. You can do along with me. Now you know, no, the formulas and everything. So to calculate the mole fraction, how is the formula? Mole fraction of, you need to calculate mole fraction of potassium iodide. Okay, so it will be mole fraction of potassium iodide will be equal to number of moles of potassium iodide, correct? So I am writing NKI. So N stands for number of moles of potassium iodide divided by number of moles of potassium iodide and number of moles of, which is the other solvent which is present along with potassium iodide. They have said aqueous solution of potassium iodide. That means the solvent over here is, yes, Vaishnavi, can you tell me what is the solvent present here? Yes, very good, correct. Aqueous solution means it is water, no? So you have other component as water. Two components are there. One is potassium iodide and the other one is water. And when you calculate mole fraction, numerator you take that component divided by total number of moles of all the components. It is potassium iodide and water. Okay, so you need to calculate number of moles of potassium iodide first. So that is calculated by taking mass of potassium iodide divided by molar mass. Molar mass of potassium iodide. Okay, so that is for potassium iodide. Similarly, you need to calculate for number of moles of water. So that will be mass of water divided by molar mass of water. Okay, so mass of potassium iodide 20%. So that means 20 gram is potassium iodide and 80 gram is water. Okay, solvent part. So you can substitute here mass of potassium iodide. I can write as 20 divided by molar mass potassium plus iodine. Okay, that is 166. We have done that calculation. So 20 by 166. Calculate and see how much it is. Here also I will substitute. Mass of water is how much? 80. Divided by molar mass of water. You can calculate. Water has 2 hydrogen. So 2 into mass of hydrogen is 1 plus 1 oxygen. So 16. So altogether 18 is the molar mass. Okay. So I can directly write here 18. So 80 by 18. Yeah, divide and see. Now it's normal division. Yeah, check your answer. This one, first one, number of moles of potassium iodide is this much, no? 0.12 mole. Yes, correct. The second one is, yeah, very good, correct. 4.44 moles. Yeah. So we got both, no? Now direct substitution. Substitute in this mole fraction of first formula. Okay, this formula. Substitute in this. So mole fraction of potassium iodide is equal to, I will directly substitute, okay? 0.12 divided by 0.12 plus 4.44 is equal to 0.12 divided by, when you add this up, you will get this much, no? 4.56. 4.56. Final answer is? Yeah, very good. Correct. Yeah, that's the correct answer. So you're getting 0. Check everyone. 0.0263. Yes. This much is enough, okay? And we don't have any other unit to write for mole fraction. Yes, we'll proceed now. So our today's topic is about solubility. Now, if you remember, you had salt analysis. No, you have done in the lab. Salt analysis is done. Okay. In that preliminary test when you are doing, you remember the third part was to check whether the compound given to you, okay, the salt which is given to you is soluble or not. Okay. So what do you mean by solubility? You have checked, you have done this analysis, correct? No, in the preliminary test, if you remember, the given salt, okay, which is given to you, whether it is soluble or not. So what do you mean by solubility? Okay, means whether the given salt gets dissolved into this or not. That is what you are checking. But exactly if I have to tell you about the solubility, see, solubility means if I have now 1 liter of the solvent, okay. So I'm taking an example. Let us assume that I have 1 liter of the solvent, and in this 1 liter of the solvent, how much amount of solute I can add to this, okay. The maximum amount of solute I can add and make a solution out of it. So then that will be called as solubility. Okay, it's a quantitative term actually. If I have 1 liter of the solvent, what is the maximum amount of solute I can add into this? That is called as solubility. Okay, so solubility means the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent at a specified temperature, means at a given temperature. Like for example, if I take a room temperature and I've taken 1 liter of the solvent, what is the maximum amount of solute I can add and make a solution out of it? That will be called as solubility. Okay. Yeah, we'll go for the next one. So we have to learn about solubility of different states of matter, okay, in the liquid. So we will start with the first one, solubility of solid in the liquid. So here you have one more term to learn, that is dissolution. See, dissolution means when I have a solute, when the solute is added, when this solute is added to a solvent, okay, so it can be a liquid or any solvent, for example, we are taking here, and if the solute dissolves in that particular liquid, okay, when you are adding this particular solute in the solvent, it will get dissolved. Like for example, if I take sodium chloride if I take and I add into water as a solvent, then it will get dissolved here. Okay, and that time what happens? When the solute gets dissolved, okay, or whatever solid you have taken, if that gets dissolved, then the concentration of that solute in that particular solution will start increasing. Okay, that process itself is called as dissolution. So dissolution, it's a simple thing. You have a solute with you, you are adding to a solvent, okay, and they get dissolved there. So that process is called as dissolution. Okay, so difference between dissolution and solubility, what is that? See, in the dissolution process, you have just taken the solute and you have added to the solvent, okay, and they get dissolved. That process I said is called as dissolution. But solubility means if you take a specified amount, like if I tell you 1 liter of the solvent is taken, in that if you are finding how much amount of the solute gets dissolved, then that will be called as solubility. Okay, so I can say solubility is actually the outcome of the dissolution. First dissolution takes place and then the maximum solute which gets dissolved in that particular solvent, okay, 1 liter of the solvent at a particular temperature, then that will be called as solubility. Got the difference between both dissolution and the solubility? Okay, dissolution, I said you are taking a solid, you are adding into a liquid, okay, they just get dissolved into that, and the concentration of the solute in that particular solution increases. So that is dissolution process. But specifically, if you are taking 1 liter of the solvent and if you are checking out how much amount of the solute gets dissolved over here, then that's the solubility part. Okay. So in simple word, if I have to tell you, solubility is actually the outcome of dissolution. Okay. So you can write down what is dissolution. I will just dictate, okay, what it is. I've just given in the form of picture here. So you can write down, when a solid is added to a solvent. Okay, I'll write it here. Okay, you can copy down that. I'm writing it here on this side down. Okay, when a solid is added to a solvent, okay, this solid itself is the solute. Okay, the solid dissolves. The solid dissolves because the particles go into the liquid and its concentration in the solution increases. This process is called as dissolution. Okay, this process is called as dissolution. Okay, I believe the difference is clear. Okay, in simple words, I'll repeat once again. Simple word, dissolution means if you have the solute, okay, and if the solute dissolves in the solvent to make a solution. Okay, I'll repeat. If you have a solute and that dissolves in a solvent to form a solution, that's dissolution process. But if you have now 1 liter, in that how much maximum amount of the solute can get dissolved, then that is solubility. Okay, I hope the difference between these two are clear to everybody. Okay, now we'll move on with next one. See, now if you take water and then you add the salt to it, okay, the solute to it, and if the solute gets dissolved, okay, you are adding, here you have the solute and then this solute you are adding to the solvent. You add it to and then stir and then see if they get dissolved. Then again you take 1 more spoon and then add, okay, again if they get dissolved. That means as you are adding the solute, they are getting dissolved. Such type of solution, okay, they are called as unsaturated solution. Okay, at a given temperature, remember, at the same temperature you are doing this. You are not increasing the temperature. Suppose if you are doing this process at a room temperature, you are adding another solute at the room temperature itself. Okay, so when you are adding more and more amount of solute, and if that solute gets dissolved in this particular solvent, then that solutions are called as unsaturated solution. Okay, clear? It is called as unsaturated. Means how much ever you are adding, they are not being full. Okay, they are not satisfied with that. Again, still more you can keep adding to those solution. Then they are unsaturated solution. But now when you keep on adding this solute to this particular solvent, one stage will come where you can't add more amount of solute. Correct? No? See here, one stage will come where the solute particles are there. No, they will settle down at the bottom. You can't dissolve them. Okay, then that stage is called as that stage where this particles doesn't get dissolved. Okay, then the solution is said to be a saturated solution. Okay, means the stage has come where the solvent is being full with the solute particles and no more solute can be added to that. Okay, then that will be called as saturated solution. Okay, you can apply this with eating also. Suppose if you are hungry and if you have eaten one chapati, okay, I'm just taking an example, and the next one, okay, you are still hungry. Okay, so you have taken 1, 2, 3 and so on. But one stage will come where you can't eat more. Okay, you will be completely full. That means you have reached the saturation point. After that you can't eat. Okay, so that means you have reached a point where you can't feed yourself. Then that will be the saturation point. But if you can keep eating, then that will be unsaturated point. Okay, clear with the difference between saturated and unsaturated? This we have discussed even in equilibrium chapter, if you remember. Okay, so I'll repeat once again. Unsaturated means when you are adding the solute to a particular solvent, if they get dissolved, okay, and more when you are adding, if they completely gets dissolved, then those solution will be called as unsaturated solution. But when you add more amount of the solute, like instead of taking 2-3 spoon, if I take around 10 spoon or 20 spoon of it and then add to this particular solvent, then a point will come where they don't get dissolved. Okay, that particular solute particles will stay there itself. Okay, then such point is called as saturation point, and the solution will be said to be saturated solution. Okay, now see, when they have attained this saturation point, at that stage what happens? So at this stage, whatever amount of solute particles are dissolved, no, in the solution, they will colloid with another solute particles, and then they get separated out in the form of crystals. So if you remember in equilibrium, when you have added more amount of the solute in that, okay, so there these solute particles are more in the solid state. So what happens is they will attain an equilibrium stage. Okay, so like now if I have this solution, see here, when you are preparing the solution, you add sodium chloride. Okay, I'm taking sodium chloride as the example. First it will be unsaturated and then you add more amount of the solute. When you add more amount of the solute, okay, a point will come where that solute particles doesn't get dissolved. Okay, so that point, at that point what happens is the amount of the solute which is going into the solution, okay, which we call as dissolution, okay, the rate at which the dissolution takes place, no, same rate, okay, the amount of the solute which has gone into the solution, at the same rate they will come out in the form of the crystal. Okay, so which we call as crystallization. So when you have a saturated solution, no, so remember there will be a process taking place, that is crystallization. So if you have more amount of the solute, more amount of crystals will come out. Okay, the amount of solute which has gone into the solution, no, at the same rate, more amount of the crystals will come out in the form of the solid. Okay, that process is called as crystallization process. Okay, that's how the purification will be done. If you want a crystals to be formed, then they make a saturated solution, and then from that even super saturated solutions are being prepared so that more amount of crystals will come out from the solution. Okay, so at this stage you can see, if you are able to see this picture, okay, so here you can see the crystallization has taken place, and at the rate at which the solute particles are getting dissolved, no, same rate the crystals, okay, will be formed. So rate of crystallization will become equal to rate of dissolution. So that time we say equilibrium has been attained. Okay, so you can write down below that, you can write down this.